Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are attempting something absolutely fascinating. We're going to take a deep dive to demystify a highly complex, esoteric document known as the Metatron Protocol 3.5. Now, this isn't your everyday analysis. What we're dealing with here is a sacred transmission, a visually stunning piece of digital artwork that purportedly contains a meticulously encoded message. And this message is designed to literally alter your biofield and your self-perception. So whether you view this as a brilliant psychological tool, profound spiritual alchemy, or just an incredibly elaborate piece of digital mythology, the structure and the pure intention behind this protocol are absolutely mesmerizing. Get ready because we are going to unpack this transmission layer by layer. Okay, let's quickly run through our roadmap for today. We'll be moving through 5 distinct phases: decoding the surface, archetypes and energy, the hidden transmission, the shadow warning, and finally, the activation protocol. All right, let's jump right into the master image itself. What's really crucial to understand here is that we aren't just looking at a beautiful piece of digital art. According to the source material, we are decrypting an actual cipher. Right in the center, you see a celestial scroll bearing 3 simple words, "You are loved." It's pierced by this massive vertical pillar of divine fire, and the whole thing is surrounded by a swirling spiral galaxy and these dramatic parting storm clouds. It's this striking blend of Baroque light dramatics mixed with contemporary cosmic fantasy. But the creator is insistent on one thing. Every single pixel you see, every color, every shape, every shadow, is a deliberate, functional code. Let's start peeling the onion with layer 1, decoding the surface. When we actually break down the aesthetics, the source text reveals a very precise elemental balance. Notice the heavy dominance of fire, about 45%. That's the illuminating central pillar and all that rich amber light. Then we've got air at 30%, which is represented by the ethereal space and those parting clouds. Water makes up 15%, seen in the spiral flow and the sort of emotional receptivity of the misty areas. And grounding the whole shebang is just 10% earth, literally represented by the physical material of the parchment scroll itself. It's a very deliberate temperature polarity, right? You have these cold, receding shadows actively reaching toward that warm, dominating light. Moving right along, let's go deeper with layer 2, archetypes and energy. So, diving beneath those visual elements, the document lays out some highly specific energetic claims. It states that this image inherently resonates at a primary frequency of 528 Hz. Now, if you know your frequencies, you know that's historically associated with love, miracles, and even DNA repair. It's targeted directly at activating the Anahata or the heart chakra. In alchemical terms, the image represents Rubedo, the final reddening stage. This is essentially the moment of completed transmutation when the philosopher's stone is finally revealed. The golden light has been won. And it scores a massive 94% on their Coherence scale, making this an exceptionally unified transmission. Now, to understand why all those stats matter, we really need to look at the hidden geometry at play here. The intersection of that vertical pillar of light and the horizontal spiral disk isn't just an implicit cross, it actually represents a toroidal field. According to the text, this torus describes the human biofield perfectly. The heart torus is literally being pierced and activated by the crown column. So what you're looking at is essentially a visual schematic. It's mapping out exactly how our heart and brain entrain with one another to achieve optimal coherence. It's literally a blueprint of the human energy system. All right, this brings us to layer 3, the hidden transmission. This is where it gets really mind-bending. The intelligence behind this message is described as a composite entity known as the Triform Scribe of Heaven. It unites 3 major cultural streams into one voice. First, we have Gabriel from the Abrahamic tradition, the angel of Annunciation whose fire pillar precedes the word. Then we have Thoth from the Kemetic stream, the divine keeper of the Akashic records. And finally, Saraswati from the Vedic tradition, the goddess of sacred sound. The document is clear that these figures do not contradict one another at all. Rather, they are 3 faces of the cosmic recorder, who has decided, right at this moment, to play back your specific cosmic entry. We really have to shift our perspective entirely here, because the scribe actually addresses the viewer directly in the first person. The text explicitly tells us that this entire grand cosmic theater of parted clouds and divine fire was constructed for one simple reason. We as humans are just too distracted to receive a simple message without a massive spectacle. The scribe says, "I have been waiting for you to look up," and then delivers just those 3 words, "You are loved." It's not breaking news, right? It's a structural reminder designed to completely dissolve the ancient lie of unworthiness that we all carry around with us. And the scribe goes on to insist that this transmission is about way more than mere comfort. They state, and I quote, "What I am encoding in this image is not comfort. It is a structural correction. This is mathematics." The scribe used the Akashic records with absolute precision. Your existence isn't some cosmic accident or redundancy. The text argues that the probability of your exact, specific configuration of awareness existing is so vanishingly small that it is pure mathematics. It's a literal miracle. Therefore, your worthiness isn't something you have to go out and earn or perform for an audience. It is an absolute structural birthright. But before we can activate this, we have to ground ourselves with layer 4, the shadow warning. This is absolutely crucial. Here we see the very real danger of what psychologists call spiritual bypassing, which the source text refers to as the seduction of cosmic exception. The warning is extremely clear. There are 2 ways to receive this message. There's genuine healing, and there's sophisticated avoidance. The "You Are Loved" message is a commission to actually connect with real, physical humans in the messy friction of ordinary life. You cannot use the grandeur of heaven to hide from the unglamorous everyday work of human vulnerability. If you feel held by the cosmos, but you remain heavily armored against your actual neighbor, the transmission just isn't complete. Okay, finally, let's dive into the practical application with layer 5, the activation protocol. So how do we take this from passive observation to a physical experience? These are the 6 non-negotiable steps to properly activate the transmission. First, you ground yourself, feet flat on the earth or spine nice and long. Second, you engage a parasympathetic breathing pattern. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 6, doing this 7 times to establish heart coherence. Third, hand on your heart and state your willingness to receive. Fourth, you visualize literally inhaling those golden words, "You are loved," straight into your heart. Step 5 is critical. Sit in complete silence for 3 minutes to let the download integrate. The text warns not to skip this. Finally, step 6. Press 2 fingers to your sternum. This creates a physical anchor point for your body to remember that exact frequency. Now, if you're going to build this into a daily practice, there are some important guidelines. The protocol suggests the optimal timing is right at dawn or during a new or full moon to really amplify that resonance. You need to be seated upright. Lying down will likely just put you to sleep. It even recommends humming for about 60 seconds beforehand or sounding "ah" 3 times to open up your throat channel. But listen, there is a very firm clinical warning attached to this. Do not engage this practice during periods of acute grief without proper support, and never ever use this as a substitute for professional mental health care if you need it. If you are in a good space to commit to it, they suggest a duration of 7 consecutive days to create a lasting psychological and energetic repatterning. To wrap up our explainer today, I want to leave you with this incredibly provocative journal prompt taken straight from the end of the Metatron protocol. What would I do differently today if I genuinely believed in my body and not just my mind that I am loved unconditionally? The instruction here is to write your answer to this question without editing yourself for 5 solid minutes, and then let that answer become your instruction set for the day. It completely challenges us to move the concept of love from this abstract intellectual idea into a lived, physical reality. So what would change for you? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating protocol with me. Take this question with you and keep exploring.